underground apartment of the Old Bible Believers Church in Valentino area of Ondo Town, Ondo State. Some of the children were camped against the will of their parents, but they believe that Jesus will come on the 29th of last month. The church, pastored by one Mr. David Anifowoshi and his assistant, Peter Josiah, are already in police custody. We'll bring you the details in the course of the bulletin. No fewer than 70,273 candidates across 281 centers have sat for the 2022 National Common Entrance Examination for admission into various public secondary schools in Ondo State. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Mrs. Lola Amuda, disclosed this when leading staff of a monitoring exercise to some examination centers in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Joy Pius reports that some of the centers visited included Akure High School, Ijomimo Oluwa High School, St. Thomas Aquinas College, St. Peter's Unity Secondary School, among others, all in Akure, the Ondo State capital. We will also bring you the details soon. Students from the 19 northern states of Nigeria have protested the lingering ASUU strike in Jalingo, the Taraba State capital. Under the auspices of the Coalition of Northern Group Students, the undergraduates are asking traditional rulers, civil society organizations, and government at all levels to urgently intervene and end the strike. The protest followed the inability of the federal government to resolve the ongoing strike by members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASUU, which has entered its 5th month. The National Secretary General of the Coalition, Amuse Gimba, accused the federal government of not meeting with the demands of the striking lecturers. She asked the federal government to resolve the impasse with the striking lecturers so that students can go back to school. And now back to the story on the Common Entrance Examination that happened today. And we told you that no fewer than 70,273 candidates across 281 centers have sat for the 2022 National Common Entrance Examination for admission into various public secondary schools in Ondo State. And we told you that the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Mrs. Lola Amuda, disclosed this when leading staff of monitoring exercise to some examination centers in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Joy Pius reports that some of the centers visited included Akure High School, Ijomimo Oluwa High School, St. Thomas Aquinas College, St. Peter's Unity Secondary School, among others, all in Akure, the Ondo State capital.
Came here to do my exam so that I can promote to secondary school. By the grace of God, I will score higher.
I want to be in JSS1. That's why I like to pass my common entrance.
Oluwa and Taiwo, like other pupils in the school, are in high spirits to transit to the next academic phase. They must write and pass this common entrance examination to gain access to their preferred school. Very early, candidates from the examination totaling 70,273 across the state filled the 281 centers accredited for the examination. At the time of our visit to St. Dominic's Center in Akure, ongoing was the checking in of candidates into the hall. All was set for commencement of the examination at the St. Peter's Unity Secondary School Center, with questions and optical mark recognition sheets distributed to the orderly seated candidates. School administrators in charge of the centers and parents expressed satisfaction at the conduct of the examination.
We asked them to line up according to their schools. You have some schools registering under another school, but for the purpose of this exam, they will bear the name of a school where they have been matched. Rooms have been assigned with ranges. They're asked to move down to the assigned room that falls within their range. And the invigilator again to cross-check, to double-check that the correct students are in his or her custody. He or she will call them in one after the other.
They have everything because we've told them before they came in all the necessary things. We addressed the parents, we addressed them what they are supposed to bring into the hall. So they gave them the whole thing.
No challenge, nothing so far. There is no problem so far. And the children, they are there, they did not trouble them. So we are okay with the situation of things.
It was okay, it's fine. So far, it's good.
Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Lola Amuda, who led a monitoring team to different centers in Akure, said the conduct passed the credibility test amidst a handful of irregularities.
We are satisfied with the conduct. It has been very, very peaceful and orderly in many of the centers. No complaint, none that is important, except maybe few centers where we still have some irregular candidates, which is not supposed to be so, because we gave ample time for the schools to be able to register well ahead of time. So except for a few centers where we have irregular candidates, so there were no major complaints.
The Permanent Secretary hinted that results of the examination is expected to be released in about 2 weeks. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
Ondo State House of Assembly has tasked benefiting communities of new map projects on proper maintenance of all projects. Chairman House Committee on Environment, Mr. Oluwole Ogunmolashui, during a visit to project sites in Ondo State, commended Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu for the initiative. House of Assembly correspondent Omoshile Oladisoyajayi reports that the team visited project sites at Owo and Akure South local government areas.
This is Festus Adetula area in Owo town. The people of this area have for many years suffered the impact of erosion on their road. Now the story has changed, as the road linking the community with others is now motorable thanks to the intervention of Ondo State government through Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project, new map. During an on-the-spot assessment of the projects, the Chairman House Committee on Environment, Mr. Oluwole Ogunmolashui, lauded the commitment of the present administration to the welfare of the people. He expressed confidence that the project will stand the test of time and charged the people of the community on proper maintenance of the projects.
The quality of the road, it's very amazing, and at least I'm very sure that at least this road can last for a long time. And I must say this, I'm also glad to see that there's also tricycles for maintenance.
The chairman of our local government area, Mr. Samuel Adegbegi, represented by the council's secretary, Mr. Tayi Adako, said the authorities will comply with all rules of engagement.
This must be sustained, and I've told them I'll be coming to see that we follow the rules of engagement. The use of the tricycle, and the money, 250,000 given to them, we will ensure that there's no abuse of such privileges we have had so far.
The new MAP project coordinator in Ondo State, Mr. Marcos Adewodun, said that the intervention will enhance socio-economic activities across the state.
The project is all-encompassing. It has the road infrastructure fixed,
but also enhance commercial activities of the area.
If I said I'm grateful, it's an understatement, because what is happening in this street is something we cannot even imagine that will happen in the next 5 years, considering the way the country is. We are so happy. We appreciate the body, the new map, the state government.
The 1 kilometer road project and over 300 line drains was constructed for the people of Festus Adetula in our town, with provision of 3 tipping tricycle and other waste management equipment, as well as take-off grant of 250,000 naira. The team also visited the road construction site at Orisumbari Ijoka in Akure South local government area to assess the level of work, and as well commissioned the 3 tipping tricycle purchased for waste disposal in the area, as well as hand over the 250,000 naira check to the people. Omoshidiola Adesoye Ajayi, OSRC News.
The Ondo State government has called on the management of the Benin Electricity Distribution Company (BEDC) to ensure energy consumers in the state are metered. Commissioner for Energy, Mines and Mineral Resources Razak Ube, while playing host to the management of BEDC in Akure, said the government was concerned about the series of protests by people of the state against estimated billing. Obi taxed the power distribution company on providing prepaid meters for all power consumers in the state to stem the current hardship being experienced by some residents. You are still watching OSRC News at 7, and after the break, President Buhari celebrates arrival of first vessel at Lekki Deep Sea Port. Please do join us then. Glad to have you back. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook, OSRC TV Ondo, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel, OSRC TV Ondo. The present administration in Ondo State has stepped up efforts at fostering unity between the Southwest states and its indigenes in diaspora. Ondo State's Commissioner for Regional Integration and Diaspora Relations, Mrs. Bamidele Ademola Olateju, spoke in Akure while playing host to the student of International Relations Department of Political Science, Joseph Ayo Babalola University, Ikeji, Osrc State. Our correspondent, Kunle Ariyo, reports.
First created in 2017 by Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu as Ministry of Regional Integration and Special Duties, and later became Regional Integration and Diaspora Relations in 2019. The change in nomenclature, according to the Commissioner, Mrs. Bamidele Ademola Olateju, was due to the fact that Western Nigeria is the only region with homogeneous language and culture, which is blessed with additional literal states like Lagos, Ogun, and Ondo State. Ademola Olateju explained that the regional integration part of the ministry is based on the understanding that the Yorubas must unite for development, innovation and growth, adding that diaspora relations was based on the belief that there must be the need to understand that the world is always changing.
Decided that this region must develop, and it can't develop based on the role of one state. It has to be between the states and its constituent parts. For this reason, Arakuri Odunayo Akeredolu created a whole ministry for that. Some other states is just a small agency overseen by this.
To achieve its set mandate, the Commissioner said the ministry mapped out a plan on how best to harness inclusion of the diasporans in the growth and development of Ondo State. Mrs. Ademola Olateju therefore admonished the students to be the best they can be and be good ambassadors of their respective states. The leader of the team, who is the head of the department, Dr. Ayo Awokwetu, informed that the field trip by the students to the ministry is one of the requirements for the students to graduate from the university.
We have learned more than what we are here for here. We have experienced great things that what giving you a family didn't get to school here.
He also thanked the Commissioner for the eye-opening conversations with the students. Kunle Ariyo, OSRC News.
Chairman of the OSRC Media Group, Mr. Kunle Adebayo, says the organizations will continue to uphold ethics of media profession for the betterment of society. The chairman spoke in Akure at a business meeting with the independent presenters, program sponsors, and all agents and sub-agents in the media group. Kunle Ariyo again reports.
Sunshine 96.5 FM Alalaye is the first FM radio station in Ondo State and was the delight of listeners in the state and beyond. Came on stream in 1997, the station suddenly became shadow of itself with epileptic transmission. Around 2015, the station finally went under because it could not meet a modern-day challenge. Obsolete equipment, bad transmitter and lack of reach combined to nail the coffin of the once darling station. Not satisfied with this, the state government, through the management committee of Osrc, took the bull by the horns and injected life into the hitherto moribund FM station on assumption of office. Now there are state-of-the-art equipment. The news and program content are excellent, just as the rich. Fresh blood have equally been injected. The station scores another first, being the first indigenous FM radio in the southwest Nigeria, driving home stories in a manner all will comprehend. In a bid to get more productive results, the top management of the media group put together a consultative and business meeting with independent presenters and producers who are part of content providers. The Director of Operations, Sunshine 90.5 FM Alalaye, Mrs. Bukola Ogunkwa, said the consultative meeting was to foster a better relationship in order to develop and deliver better content, enhance professional standards, and create a stronger platform for future successes.
We have a lot of programs with rich content that could be sponsored, and our independent presenters are key in making this a reality. It is also important at this junction to reiterate the importance of our sacred duty, which is enlightenment.
Also, the Director of Program, Osrc TV, Mrs. Retia Lewi, harped on the need to embrace professionalism.
I want to thank all the people that have been cooperating with us, and I know that we can still do better because the television is for all those things.
The State Officer of National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, Mrs. Kende Olubomi, took the presenter and producers through the rudiments of broadcasting and the rules guiding the profession.
What is it that we are having problems, stations are having problems with? We're having problems with hyping. We're having problems with praise singing. We're having problems with unverifiable claims. We're having problems with fake news. We're having problems with Essex adverts.
Chairman of Osrc Media Group, Mr. Kunle Adebayo, said the organization will do everything possible to uphold professionalism.
We hope to strengthen the bond of professionalism between us and all our independent presenters and producers so that we can work together in service of the people of the state. Nigeria is passing through different stages of challenges. The most important strength that we should all have together is the power of communication. It's the power of bonding together to ensure that we say what we mean and we mean what we say. This is extremely important for a media organization like ours. 2 radio stations, very formidable, and 1 television station. It is important that we bond with them, because we see them as part of the town ears for our operations. And they also see us as the key stakeholder in what they are doing.
He announced that the radio arm of the media group will soon be moved to Rita Obele, the headquarters for quality service delivery.
We have Osrc TV here, we have Alalaye FM here, we have Orange FM about 4 kilometers away, and we have our operations scattered all over Ondo State. But what the governor has done is to approve that Orange FM, which is about 4 kilometers away, should be relocated to the compounds of Osrc, so that we can have Orange FM or Alalaye 96.5 FM and television services all under one roof as a media village. It saves costs.
The meeting was interactive as independent presenters and producers poured their minds on challenges on the job as management profiled solutions. Kunle Aruyo, Osrc News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed satisfaction on the successful berthing of the first ship at Lekki Deep Sea Port. The vessel, Zenhua 28, delivered 3 ships to shores and 10 rubber tire gantries cranes that will help in evacuation of cargoes from vessel to the shore. The president, who expressed his feelings in a statement by spokesman Femi Adesina, also congratulated stakeholders in the maritime sector over the feat. Buhari said his approval of 4 new seaports in the country, including the Lekki Deep Sea Port, was aimed on growing the economy. According to him, the decision was also aimed at creating massive job opportunities, foreign investment, inflows and trade facilitation, and reaffirmed his commitment to harnessing the potential of the sector. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has departed Lagos for Accra, Ghana to represent Nigeria at the 61st Ordinary Session of the Authority of the ECOWAS Heads of State and Government holding tomorrow. Professor Osinbajo will join other leaders to deliberate and take decisions on the political, security and humanitarian issues, among others, regarding the sub-region at the regular ECOWAS Summit. The meeting will also review the situations in Mali, Guinea and Burkina Faso, particularly towards restoring democratic rule. According to a statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity Office of the Vice President, Laolu Akonde, the summit will update leaders on political development in the region and in the Sahel region. On the foreign scene, Germany has signed an agreement to over the ownership of the Benin bronze to Nigeria. The artworks, some dating back to the 13th century, are a large collection of sculptures and plaques looted by British soldiers from the Kingdom of Benin in 1897. It will be the single largest repatriation of stolen African artifacts so far. Odunayo Soya is here with the reports.
After endless debate about ownership, Nigeria finally got back what was stolen more than a century ago. The first two bronzes of more than 1,000 taken from the former Kingdom of Benin, including one showing the head of the king, were handed over at a ceremony at the German Foreign Ministry and will soon be on their way back home.
This is a story of European colonialism. We should not forget that Germany played an active role in this chapter of history. Today, more than 120 years later, we state clearly, the head of a king belongs to the people of Nigeria.
The thousands of artworks stolen from the kingdom became a symbol of colonial injustice when British soldiers looted the palace in 1897. Benin was one of the most powerful kingdoms in the African continent. For decades, the great-great-granddaughter of the king had campaigned for their return.
As a member of the royal family, I really feel very happy that this is happening. It's restoring dignity and pride in the culture that I was raised in. It's sad that it's coming several decades after, but I think that it's important that that historical injustice is addressed at this time here.
While Germany did not loot the art directly, more than 1,000 pieces were bought after being taken by the British on display until recently in museums all over the country. While the ownership of the Benin bronzes has now finally been handed over, the German public will still be able to see some of them at an exhibition at the Humboldt Forum soon. Germany will continue to take care of the artworks and will only physically return them at the request of Nigeria. While other European countries have returned some looted artifacts to African nations, this handover by Germany to Nigeria is the largest so far.
Other countries in the world will actually take a cue from Germany because it's a matter of time. They will have to return all stolen artifacts to their place of origin.
Nigeria is building a museum to house the returning Benin bronzes so Nigerians finally do not have to travel to Europe to admire and study their own history. Odunayo Soya, Osrc News.
And I'm back to the full story on the Ondo Church abduction. No fewer than 23 children and 54 adults were evacuated by men of the Ondo State Police Command from the underground apartment of the Old Bible Believers Church in Valentino area of Ondo Town, Ondo State. Some of the children were camped against the will of their parents with the belief that Jesus would come on the 29th of last month. The church, pastored by one Mr. David Anifowoshi and his assistant Peter Josiah, are already in police custody. Juliet Buna reports that the discovery by the police has caused chaos in the ancient town.
An alleged abduction in one of the Pentecostal churches, the Old Bible Believers Church in Valentino area of Ondo City in Ondo State, causing a stir in the hearts of the busy area. The arrest of the two pastors, David Anifowoshe and his assistant, Peter Ojosiah, followed persistent complaints from one Mrs. Elizabeth Reuben, whose family members were attendees of the church. Out of the 77 people found in the place are children belonging to the complainant, Mrs. Reuben, who said one of her kids refused writing an examination following a directive from the pastor.
The word they are preaching is not right. It's not according to the word of God. That education is useful, that people should live, that they should live their working, what they are doing, and they should be preparing for action. I told my children that it's up there, that my children refuse. My first son, he wanted to do wife. They disallow him to go and write mass. They disallow him. They said the God says the Lord that God says the Lord that he should not go and do that mass. I praised the boy. I praised him so that he go and do the mass. He refused. He said God says the Lord.
22-year-old Priscilla Olorinyomi, a 300-level student of Millennium School of Health, Akure, and a daughter to the complainant, said she had to defer admission to attend the church. Father of Miss Olorinyomi, Mr. Michael Olorinyomi, said his daughter left home since January this year on the instructions of Pastor David Anifowoshe.
300-level student at Millennium College of Health Technology in Akure. When without my consent and without notifying me to defer her admission, to defer her program. So I now went to the school to ask her, and they told me that there is no more coming. And they gave me the letter.
Other members of the church also relayed their experiences. The police public relations officer, Mrs. Fumilayo Odunlami, said 23 children, 54 adults, totaling 77 people, were evacuated. According to the police, the leadership of the church will be charged to court for abduction or keeping unauthorized asylum, luring and harboring under the pretense of religion.
Father, it was a church. On getting there, the policemen were trying to talk to the pastor in order to invite him over, and the members that were around turned violent and started attacking the policemen that came. However, at the end of the day, we realized that the church had been keeping some of the members in an underground room. They have an underground room in that church. Basically, what we had was that the assistant pastor, which Pastor Josiah, claimed rapture was going to take place by April, but later said it has been changed to September. So he encouraged most of them to stay behind and said they should obey just their parents in the Lord.
The police said the case will be thoroughly investigated and justice served appropriately. Juliet Buna, Osrc News.
And now to sports. Sunshine Stars Football Club of Akure remain in 7th position despite going down by a lone goal to Atlan FC in Owerri. The only strike came in the 36th minute through Adejo Ojonuga after nodding the ball home from Chibuike Nwawu's cross. The win did little in taking Atlan off the relegation waters with 2 matches to go. Elsewhere, Shooting Stars Sports Club breathed live into their campaigns with a hand-fought 2-2 draw to Rangers International. And with that sports story, we conclude the news tonight. But before we go, a quick look at some of the top stories. We told you that the Ondo State Police Forces has rescued scores of children from an underground church in the Valentino area of Ondo State. 70,000 pupils have sat for the entrance examination into Ondo State public secondary schools. And that's the news tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Good evening.
Thank you.